Hey everyone, Ryan here, chilling in this very lucrative Walmart gaming chair special in a different corner of the room because you and I probably both see too much of that side. I know I do, especially because today marks the 250th video that I've uploaded to this channel. I would urge you not to actually go count because there's not going to be 250 videos on the channel as of yet because I've unlisted quite a few. Just like old updates and trailers and stuff that's just not relevant anymore. But regardless, this is 250 that I've made for this channel, which is both crazy in one way, doesn't feel like that many, and yet simultaneously when I go to edit, it feels like I've made 250,000 of these. So regardless, I guess cheers to that with my filtered tap water. And here's to hopefully another 250, 500, 1,000 more to come if things keep going the way they do. So I figured I would use this opportunity for some housekeeping, channel updates, answer some general recurring questions I get, go over some of the plans that aren't completely set in stone for the channel, what I want to have coming up, since I don't do like a weekly FAQ or anything like that. Don't feel it's very productive for what I want to do around here. So I guess just jump right into it. I don't really have a script or bullet points like I normally would. So I guess the first thing I would share is, since I figured 250 videos, that's a pretty good amount of data to stratify, and then you could actually maybe see some trends. Downloaded some analytics, and I went and filtered through how many subs I get per video, how many views, and how those correlate to each other, how they relate to each series I made. And I found some interesting things that both affirmed kind of common knowledge I already had extracted from just doing this for a while, as well as some things that I didn't really expect. So in terms of channel growth, in terms of making this a more viable option, I suppose, it turns out there's really 3 or 4 major types of videos I make that you guys like to see. At the top being the Explain series, which is cool. In general, that one does really well in terms of pulling a lot of subscribers. And even if that one doesn't do particularly well, so let's say I get a random Explain video that doesn't get but 1,000 views or less, still the amount of people that subscribe is relatively high. So it's a good ratio. Which is a cool thing to me, because that tells me that the core audience and even the ones that discover this channel want information. And that's the kind of stuff I like to make and I like to share. So going forward, I will definitely prioritize that series and try to make it at least a monthly thing if I can, when I have topics to do so. Following that are the various tone tutorials and reviews I make, whether we're talking about older AX8 content, previous T tutorials, the Tone Engineer kind of series that I've started up recently, and various product reviews, which again falls in line with wanting more information out there, which is again great because that's the kind of content I want to make. And for the most part, I would say around 70% or more of those kind of videos are actively contributing to growing the channel in an efficient way. So definitely want to continue to prioritize that. It's the stuff, again, it's the bread and butter of what I like to do. Of course, product reviews, again, you get some of these that are very focused. Maybe the audience isn't quite as large for them, and so those may not do as well. But I just want to continue to try to prioritize the ones that I think will be not necessarily the most mainstream, but the ones that will be more popular and more along the lines of something that I have something to say about it. I know a lot of people ask, hey, are you going to review this diesel plugin? Or, hey, this brand's come up with this new plugin or this new pedal. And if I don't talk about it, it's probably because I feel like everyone else has already done a fine job at it. There's really not a whole lot I have to say that isn't already out there. So that's kind of my strategy with that. There are certain products I'd like to get to that would be costly, but maybe someday. Not writing that off the list entirely. The top 5 videos I make are a little weird in the sense that you look at it on like a bell curve, the middle 60% are kind of middle of the road. They're very well worth making, and they do add a little bit of growth, since that is a clickbaity kind of title. I wish I didn't have to put it that way, but it turns out that a lot of the stuff I make content for does group together well in 5. So, I'll talk about my 5 favorite pedals that I own, or of 5 particular amps or whatever. And so, you know, I would say most of them in that center part are very worthwhile making. They're kind of core videos. The bottom, say 20%, just, you know, flop, whether it be the topic or the timing or whatever reasons you might want to attribute to that. It's just, you know, kind of the way it is, and it's just to be expected. But the top 20% is super weird because that's where I've gained like 2,000 subscribers from. So you got like the annoying guitar trends when it comes to extended range guitars. That one performed way too well. The YouTube algorithm loved it. And it's another instance of a video that I made kind of in a constructive light, but still came off as negative in a lot of ways. And that's not what I want, but that's kind of what it resulted in. So that and the shootouts and the heavy reflection very much perform in that way, where there's like a middle chunk that is very well worth making, and there are videos I like. But some of the lowest performer ones are the ones that I was more proud of and I think is better content than the ones that got popular. But it's the way it is. Either way, I'm going to continue to make those kind of videos, but they may not be as common as they were at one point. The shootouts especially, a lot of that is to satisfy my own curiosity, and then I share the results of it. And I will still continue to do those when they make sense, but I'm not just going to shoot out a random distortion pedal with an EQ pedal with a, you know, OD pedal. You know, if I have very specific kinds of gear and it makes sense to do so, then I will. But those are going to be like when they make sense, the timing is right. And I'll very much strategically place those going forward. Now, the lowest performers on this channel are really of no surprise to me. All of these perform rather consistently, and the absolute lowest tier ones I've quit doing the series for altogether, a couple of which, again, I've taken off the channel just because that's not the direction I wanted to go with. But, you know, when I'm talking about stuff like vlogs, original music, either announcements, playthroughs, covers, these are things that I do as a passion project because I want to do them, and because they act as kind of let me prove to you that I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about guitar tone, or when it comes to getting a certain sound in this style, what have you. It's kind of a resume builder in a way, but more so that it's just stuff that I enjoy doing, and it fits the theme of the channel. But they're not ways to make this grow or really build a new audience. This is specifically for your enjoyment and my enjoyment, which is fine. But this is the kind of phenomenon I've been trying to get through the heads of friends and family for years. And even, you know, some people that'll comment like, well, why do you even bother with gear reviews if you can play like this? You just need to get in a band and or just focus on your own music. And this is why, because people would rather talk about music gear than watch new music or listen to new music or discover new talent. That's just the way it is. And I enjoy talking about the gear side of things. So I would much rather spend my time doing that majority of the time, and then use that to build the other thing that may have not been able to grow as much. I mean, frankly, with my little Seedrum side project, it would never have sold as many EPs if I didn't have this audience. It's just the way it is. And that was a strategic move. And as this channel grows, my audience grows, I want to continue to introduce stuff that I hope is the one that gets successful. As of right now, this is it's entirely a passion project that I just enjoy doing. So those are the ones that don't really surprise me, and those are the ones that I'm going to continue to sprinkle in and out, you know, every 2 or 3 months. But it's not going to be the core content, which, again, according to the analytics, is not really going to upset that many people. So that's okay. I mentioned on one of these past obligatory milestone videos that I've got this giant Excel spreadsheet. It's what I use to plan videos and jot down ideas and figure out what gear that I need for it, or if I need to buy something for it. And it tells me whether I have something that's edited or completely rendered, ready to go, or if I've got it filmed, or whatever progress it's at. And within that, I keep a big column of stuff. It's like, okay, this is a video idea. I want to do it. Here's when I need to do it. Find a spot for it. Well, between that and stuff that's already scheduled for the next couple of months, I have approximately 140 videos. So even the few that are going to get inevitably erased, that it's like, okay, that one's redundant now, or I add back a couple new ideas I have, we're looking at what, 16 to 18 months worth of content if I continue with this every 4-ish day pace. So I'm going to have a lot of ideas continue, to develop, and I don't think that's going to be a problem for the channel going forward. And this doesn't even include, if a new product pops out or a new plugin, that will get added in and just adds more workload. So don't really have to worry about that, but that's what I'm looking at in terms of the foreseeable future, not to mention the stuff that I don't know that I'm going to do yet. So don't really have to worry about any inspiration going forward for the next little while. Speaking of inspiration, I suppose I'll touch a moment on original music. Again, for those that haven't been bombarded with my terrible ad, I released an original EP in the beginning of August, and I can tell you with basically absolute certainty that there's going to be a follow-up to that, probably another 5 songs it's looking like. It's not going to be the next thing that comes out. I want to give this some time, and it's going to be the same sort of theme, the same kind of music, obviously, but with just a little bit different atmosphere, kind of a different take. If I had to put words to it, if the first Children of the Stars EP is looking up, then maybe the next one's going to be looking back down to earth a little bit more, maybe a little more organic, some different textures, maybe even a little bit more mellow in spots. So that's kind of where that's shaping up, and I'm probably going to be using a little bit different gear just to get a different sound. But I want it to be where you can listen to it back to back and it still sounds like a cohesive project. So that will happen at some point late next year, next couple of years. I don't know. It's ready when it's ready. What I do plan to put out next, though, is something I'm really excited for, because this will be material that I've had in my back pocket for 6, some of this going on 7 years now. It won't be all of those songs. There's plenty of that I'm still kind of trimming and working into different material, but it's going to be another looking like 5-song EP. There's not a whole lot of information I want to spill just yet with this. It is still in early production after all. But what I will say is I think this is going to appeal to a much larger part of the audience that likes just stripped down guitar-based music. If you're the kind of guy that's not into, the whole symphonic thing I did previously, that's totally fine. This is, high gain amps, thunderous bass guitar, vocalists sound like they're going to rip their throat out, real drums. I'm really stoked for that. And I dare say this has a better chance at being more visible, not anything approaching, mainstream success, but something that I think will appeal to more people, which is good. With that, I do plan to release this project with a little bit wider availability compared to the last one. I'm going to try to do some homework beforehand and get it on those streaming platforms and stuff like that, where I think it'll be a better fit, and at least I'll have more material than some of the people that were asking me, could you put Children of the Stars on Spotify or whatever. In fact, I actually got contacted by one of the distribution companies asking if they could sponsor one of my videos. I turned them down because I said, I'm not using this legitimately right now, so I'm not going to sponsor a video pretending I do. But hopefully by the time this is out, you'll have the opportunity to listen to this on your mobile device, wherever you would like. So that's what's happening in terms of music creation right now. I've got a number of other projects I'd like to do, and it's all splitting my time between them. But again, I will return to Seed to Rim after this at some point, and then the one after that is wherever the wind decides to take me, because that's pretty much what it's up to. The final thing I'll leave you with, I suppose, is the most variable circumstance I find myself in that affects the channel. If you were around then, about 11 months ago, you'll see that I moved out of my previous apartment I was living in, and now in this space. And between then and now, I've not had a steady job, I suppose you could say, at least one that I could throw an official title on. Obviously, I'm not starving. You guys are paying for the channel, which has always been my goal. So thank you for that. I get the whatever I get a month, and then that's kind of the budget for the upcoming month. So you guys are making it happen through ad revenue and all that good stuff. But car insurance, a few bills here and there, I got to take care of that. And in the meantime, I've been looking for a position that would fit my background and personally fit me, and specifically one that, you know, I could work for a company or a firm or whatever that I wouldn't just up and leave in 2 years. I wanted something that was long term. And I've had a couple good leads in the past couple of months. One of them, unfortunately, has not panned out. Just the way it is, competitive interview process. And the second one that I'm kind of fingers crossed on, I've not got the results back from the interview, is rather recent. So if that one pans out, then I will definitely be moving at some point. I don't even know if it'll be super soon, but regardless, even if it's not that one, something is bound to change within the next few months. So my days in this space are numbered. So whatever the case may be, I'm shooting for a space that will allow some sense of permanence, that I can, you know, do something approaching soundproofing and color correction, and build a workflow that I don't have to move things literally every video, and have storage for stuff, and have a place for everything and everything in its place kind of deal. When I make these videos, I got to rip down the lights and the cameras and all that, and you know, if I just have a dedicated space for it, it will make better content. There's no doubt about it. So even if this lead I have doesn't pan out, it will just be delaying the inevitable. So well, I did want to get that out in front of the people that are watching to this point and obviously would care about that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of where I've been at. I've got everything I set out to do during this break of sorts, between family stuff and life stuff and everything that doesn't matter for the channel. It was a good move for me personally. So with that, I'd like to sincerely thank you for watching, whether it's been long time, short time, 5 videos, 50 videos. Maybe there's one of you out there that's seen all 250. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, I definitely hope to see you for the next 250, hopefully more, and absolutely for the next couple of weeks, because I've made what I think are some of the most interesting pieces of content that I've done so far. A little biased on that subject, of course, but regardless, hope to see you there. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye.